Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Sigval here, and welcome back to our video. So as you know, we're gonna get the new MK1 Scorpion added to Injustice Mobile, and he might or might not be part of an MK1 team, and the other MK characters might or might not receive a rework because of that, so they can all form a team together, same as it happened with the Classic team whenever they added Classic Wonder Woman. And that's not a guarantee, but I always like to theorize about reworks of characters. So now that there's a real possibility that will happen, but again, no guarantee, it's even more of a reason to do so and talk about this. So we're gonna go over Raiden and what I would do to make him a better character and a complete character, and then we're gonna move on to Sub-Zero. And yeah, feel free to add any other suggestions that you would think about in the comments. But first of all, let's take a look at his passive. This part should be straight up removed to deter special splitting to the enemy, and it should be added as a passive to the third special. I never saw any reason for this splitting damage to the entire team to be part of the passive. Why not make it part of the goddamn special? So I would take this away from the passive and put it on the special, or even leave it on the passive. Doesn't really make much of a difference. And is also gonna give power bars to the arcane teammates on start for each arcane teammate you have currently. I would change this to MK mobile teammates. For each MK mobile teammates you get a certain amount of power bars. So when you start, then possibly you'll get a level 7 passive, and this will go all the way to 1.5 for each MK mobile character you have. Maybe even add a power cost reduction for the MK mobile team and kind of make him centered around power generation, maybe power stealing. So on top of this, give him a power reduction for the MK mobile characters. You don't have to do it with 2 power bars as it's with Dr. Fate or Power Girl. You can make it 1 power bar, doesn't matter that much, but it would be pretty cool to have that. And also give him a passive that gives a chance to the MK mobile characters to power steal on any of the specials that they're gonna use on the enemy. And whenever that happens, they are gonna get a big damage boost, but for a short duration. So they have to use another special to reactivate that way promoting a diverse gameplay where you don't just spam basics, you also do specials. Let's say your MK mobile characters are gonna get at 7 stars of Raiden a 500% damage boost for something like, let's say, 20 seconds or even 15 seconds or something in that ballpark. So this way you promote a diverse type of gameplay and have an interactive way to play the game. And yet again, this would happen in theory, in my theory, on power steals, and it's gonna give a chance that's possibly gonna go up to 100% at 7 stars to power steal on specials. And I'm not really being careful here with the star rating issue, because a lot of characters I would like them to be friendlier at lower star ratings and just get more, but not the lower chance for that thing specifically to happen at higher star ratings. But everybody's got 7-star rating, and if you don't, he's in the arena store. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't get removed from there. But yeah, that's how I would go with his passive. Around power generation, power cost reduction, higher power at the start of the fight, and a good amount of damage on power steal. And yeah, let's move on to the rest of the abilities. Flying Thunder God is extremely goddamn underwhelming because it's one of the coolest abilities of Raiden, and it's one of the trademark abilities of Raiden. When you think of Raiden, you think of him going in the Superman flight, but using lightning. So this could have a lot more to it than it currently does. But it could be fixed by a very simple addition, something like drop a stun on this, or drop a shield, a Sunder on this. If you don't know, Sunder is gonna reduce the enemy's defense and disable their reflective shields. And I think a Sunder would actually be pretty cool and pretty fitting on this, because they're gonna be a little bit thunderstruck. Now this thing, the Divine Blast, this is going to drain a certain amount of power bars, and it's gonna go up as you up this, like 4 power bars. This is a small amount, but it's gonna go a lot higher. I only have my Raiden at level 35, but instead of a power train, just switch this to a power steal, and this would be a lot better. And maybe make it so that Raiden has a second passive that is going to apply a permanent stack of damage against targets, or weakness, how it's called, against bosses that have that mechanic. Like, for example, we have the boss Batman that's I don't know exactly in which soul raid. I think this is Zatanna soul raid. There's a Batman that constantly gets buffs, and once you break that with a certain amount of combo, you're gonna actually get a weakness against him. Or Batman the Drowned that constantly applies weakness to you or gives you a damage buff. Make it so that he gives permanent weakness stacks up to a certain amount of stacks to the enemy whenever he power drains them with special 2 for each power bar stolen or something like that. And the third special is fine for arena and champions arena purposes, but what could be done is do something like, yes, it splits to the entire team, but if there are no other teammates alive, it deals triple the damage because you have the same amount of lightning. That's it's not gonna go through one person and then pass to the next person. It's gonna stay in that person and it's gonna deal more damage. That sounds kind of gay, but yeah, you get a point over here. It's gonna deal triple damage if there's only one single target he's using this against with no tagged out teammates that this damage can split you. So you might even make this a, let's say, soul rates damage dealing viable type of ability. And God of Thunder, I'm not sure if they add to every single super move an additional effect now. They seem to kind of do. If you want to add an effect to this, maybe add an increase of power generation for the entirety of the fight for the MK Mobile team. And that's how I see Raiden myself. Kind of a support character, kind of a power generation oriented character, and a character that can also be dealing some damage. And after all I said, you might be like, he might be a little bit strong. But what you gotta understand is that those are not buffs that can apply to every single character in the game. We're not gonna have a Raven 2.0 scenario here. What I'm trying to do is make sure that the MK Mobile team actually is gonna be viable, and we're not gonna get the situation how we got with the Constantine team, where they sound very cool in theory, but when they get to practice, it's not going that well. But yeah, all that being said, let's move on to my boy Sub-Zero. Okay, so with Sub-Zero, this, we're gonna totally scrap it because it dictates how much health and attack the clone is gonna have, and it's gonna summon a clone normally with this, but we'll get to that. But for now, just don't mind this, we're completely scrapping it. Now, to kind of guarantee, not really guarantee, but make kind of sure that a certain team is gonna be viable, regardless, and is gonna be good with or without gears or without much investment, you kind of need some percentage health damage. So this is going to provide that. We're going to make it so that the passive makes every single ability of Sub-Zero apply Frostbite for a certain amount of time. Frostbite is a debuff that was introduced with Mr. Freeze that is going to reduce the enemy power generation and reduce their block effectiveness. Block effectiveness is kind of irrelevant, but we're just going with that debuff for now. So it's gonna induce Frostbite with every single special, or let's say with special 1 and special 2, because we're gonna get into the third special in a second here, because I got a pretty nice idea for that. But make it so that every single of one of his specials is going to inflict Frostbite. And make it so that as a second part of this ability, basic hits of the Mortal Kombat team that are going to be done against targets that have the Frostbite debuff active are going to do percentage health damage. And something that I really don't like about the Zatanna team, where it's going to be Zatanna's percentage health damage and then some percentage health damage for all of the other characters, is that it kind of forces you into an awkward gameplay. Like, I want to... It feels good in theory because Swamp Thing also got something that he does whenever he uses specials, but it just didn't land well. So I would like something a lot more restrictive if you have, again, a team-wide percentage hull damage mechanic. Make it that it has a cap of percentage health, let's say 20%, 30%, 40%, the exact cap doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter a bit, it shouldn't be too low. But every single Mortal Kombat character can max out this cap. Not that each one of them has the 30%, but each one of them is going to contribute towards the same amounts. To the point where, let's say you inflict Frostbite with Sub-Zero, and then you tag in the new Scorpion, and Scorpion is gonna keep hitting the enemy and proccing all the percentage health damage on the enemy. And then when Sub-Zero comes back in, it's not gonna do any more percentage health damage because Scorpion already did it. Make it so that if I want to do it with different characters and swap in between them, I can do that, but if I want to do it with only one character, I also have that option separately. Now getting into the special one. With the special one, I would like to see something here that disables crit resistance and crit immunity for a certain amount of time. Because I feel like that's a very good and convenient thing for each of the teams. I've seen it on Robin King, and it's great. Because you already have ways to bypass the crit resistance with Dark Mallow cards. You can even put it on a second character, so you can put whatever artifact you want on your main character, but it adds a certain additional level of convenience if a team has an ability that disables crit resistance and immunity for a certain amount of time. So I would love to see that there. The special 2 is going to freeze the enemy, which is fine. Maybe give it a few hits for the MK Mobile team, that they can hit the frozen targets without the frozen target actually breaking the freeze. This used to be such a cool ability because it could kind of infinite combo off your basics, but with the introduction of Mr. Freeze, they kind of ruined the freeze mechanic because now the enemy kind of instantly blocks your attack as soon as they go to freeze. So I would love it to see something that's still gets the character frozen because it's Sub-Zero at the end of the day, but at the same time feels good to play, feels convenient to play, doesn't feel awful to interact with because you know the enemy is gonna be guaranteed to block at some point whenever they break out of that freeze. That's kind of what I want to see with the special 2. And with the third special, this is where I have all bits kind of out of the box idea with this. So this is normally gonna just creates an ice clone that he throws at the enemy, and then he spawns a clone of the enemy for you. And that sucks. No matter where you use it, that sucks. The only place where I've seen this actually do something is if you need bodies for phase 1 Joker. So you play Joker in phase 1 in League Raids, and you clone the Brainiac minions. In that way, you get more targets dying, and you're gonna get more damage for Joker. But outside of that, I've never seen this being useful or anybody taking advantage of this, and it doesn't really work against bosses because they are kind of immune to freeze. And I think it doesn't work generally speaking. I'm not sure about that. I haven't played Sub-Zero and randomly thrown clones at the enemy bosses, because even if it works, it's kind of useless because they got a lot of health and a lot lower damage dealing potential than you, so it's not really helping you out. They deal a lot of damage to you because you got very low amount of health, not because they deal a lot of damage. So what I would do with this is that I would make it have kind of the same animation, freeze the enemy, and at the end of it, tag one of your MK Mobile characters, a random one, whichever one is in the team, or one of the two if they're both in the team, and instantly tag them in against a frozen enemy, and they are gonna get an increased amount of damage for the next few seconds, and are gonna receive kind of a little bit of a timer, a red timer on the left side of the screen, and whenever that timer is over, they lose the buff and they instantly get tagged out. Kind of tagging it out in a little bit of a forced way. I don't know, but this sounds like it could be a funny mechanic to interact with, and you're gonna get a guaranteed good tagging if the target is already frozen by this. Whenever you do this, not sure how well it would work on the tag back in of Sub-Zero, but maybe to offset this, also give him a chance to freeze or guarantee to freeze for a certain amount of seconds whenever he gets tagged into the fight, or whenever an MK character gets tagged into the fight, and just straight up freeze the enemy. But yeah, that's about it with Sub-Zero, and that's gonna be kind of it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Like it if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next one. Goodbye!